Entry-level mining information, formal qualifications. Welcome to Australian Mining for New Starters, and today I just want to have a quick chat about the formal qualifications that they have for hard rock underground and the way it works. But first, I'd just like to give a shout out to John, who completed the sponsor's work ready package a couple of months ago. He pulled the trigger on sending his resume out around 3 weeks ago in Perth. He ended up with 6 interviews, did a medical last week and started on Thursday. So well done, mate. I know you'll have a long and profitable career. It won't take you long to climb the ladder. So back in 2007 and 2008, McMahon's Underground and Burncut, who have just updated their website with some new flash videos, both turned their HR departments into RTOs. Now, what this did was it enabled them, or what they thought it was going to be able to do, was enable them to turn every procedure that they had into a unit that was part of the Cert 3 in metalliferous underground mining. And the idea being is that once everybody's done their units, then when they move from one mine site to another, they won't have to redo everything. Now, to say that the mines department were not happy with that would be a bit of an understatement, with both McMahon's and Burncut getting audited very heavily. So what did that mean? Well, if you Google underground mining training, you'll see the sponsor's website come up first, but then you'll also see a Cert 3 in underground metalliferous mining. And like I said, the whole reason that this is here is because McMahon's and Burncut turned their OH&S departments into RTOs, and that's why it's here. Now, but the thing is that you'll see that there's no training providers have entered any fees on my skill for this course. And if you give it a little bit more of a look around and you come down to actually search the training providers and you start clicking on them, you'll see a bit of a theme going on. Suspended, not available. So if you go back and look at the next one down, it's the same thing. Suspended, this course is not being offered. It's not deliverable. So what happened was that, well, there's a couple of things that went into this. Unfortunately, back in 2000, before they turned themselves into RTOs, there was a guy at a TAFE in one of the big capital cities, and he was writing people Cert 3s in underground metalliferous mining certificates straight out. And all you had to do was send him a photo of you on the job, either hanging some vent bag or bogging a heading or doing whatever, pay him the money. It was like $400 or $450 at the time, and he would send you a certificate 3 in underground or in hard rock underground mining. Now, what you could think happened. People with no experience got their friends to take photos at work. They sent those photos in. They got certificate 3s given to them without any actual training experience. They went and got jobs, and of course they got found out. And this went on for a number of years, to the point where a lot of the foremans and project managers will look at anybody with actually a certificate 3 in metalliferous underground mining on their resume as a problem. Because as a rule, a hard rock underground miner's resume tends to read the last job that they were on and the equipment that they used and what job they were doing and how long they were doing it for. Nobody really wants to see a Cert 3 in underground in metalliferous mining. All they're going to want to know is which jumbo that you're on, which loader were you using, how you were charging up, were you using emulsion, were you using AMFO. Though all the employers are going to want to know is what you were doing in that last job. And it's for that reason that there aren't any formal qualifications, and it's for that reason that back in the day, the training for the underground, the sponsor's underground training got written, because it was quite obvious back in 2008, after the mines department came down so hard on Burncut and McMahon's, that nobody was ever going to write one of these things, and nobody was ever going to provide a course to the public. And that's why they did it. And it's only $450 for the do-it-yourself. If you want some help, it's $8.99. But if they turn this into an RTO, this would be $6,500 for this. It's all the information's there. I know they've had numerous people try and talk them into turning into an RTO over the years, is, but it just doesn't justify it because the employers can't use the qualification anyway. It's just going to cost everybody bucket loads more money than they need to pay. So the people within the industry, myself included, like the fact that it's a cheap price that you can get away with learning this information. So if we move on from there and we have a look at today's copper price and we start doing the prices. So the copper price is $12,807 Australian, which is really good. Nickel has jumped significantly and it's up to $26,160, and there's a good reason for that. If I come over to the Premier of WA's press release, I don't know if anybody's seen it, I mentioned it in the last video that I was doing, that BHP and Tesla have signed a big agreement to supply nickel for their batteries, and those nickel mines, the majority of those nickel mines are going to be hard rock underground mines. Everybody's making money at that price. Gold's jumped around a fair bit. It was up around 2,500 at one stage last week, and it's dropped down to that 2,450 bracket where it's been running pretty much sideways for the last couple of weeks. Iron ore's back up again. It's $293 a tonne, which is good money. And the big improver of the week is coal again, and that's up at $180 a tonne, which means there's a fair few jobs opening up in the coal fields. I just say to people that if you're in the town that the mine's located in, go for it. If you've got to relocate yourself to get a coal job, you really should be looking at a hard rock underground job. There's more scope to move around and there's a more long-term career. But if it's your hometown that the mine's near, then go for it. I think it's a good thing. So that's all I wanted to say about formal qualifications. And the reason that the employers don't use them is because they have to do all their on-site training anyway, so nobody's invested in it. And you just have to go and have a look at the underground jobs to see that. And if you type underground in and look at any time, you can jump onto any one of the jobs, like this service crew job here. And you can see all McMahon's want is experience. They're not really after any Cert 3s in underground mining, any formal qualifications. They just want a driver's license. You notice that this is a service crew job, but this second line says being prepared to operate a dump truck from time to time. It's been a long time since I've seen an ad like this, and what this really means, it's code, and they used to do this back in the day when they couldn't get anybody. They'd snavel somebody that was on a truck already and tell them that they were going to do service crew, and they even give them the title of service crew and pay them service crew, but they're that desperate for truck drivers on site, they'll end up sticking them in a truck. And so the majority of their swing, they'll end up in a truck. They might spend a couple of days on service crew, and they'll have a number of guys in this position that they'll be rotating through. And the reason that they're doing that is because there's no experienced people around. And the only way to get somebody to drive a truck sometimes is if you're paying them service crew rates. So that's a good example of why the lengths that employers are going to secure people to do the actual job. There's not a lot of experience running around. So if you know how the mine works, then you've got something to offer the employers. I hope you found that information helpful. If you've got any more questions that you'd like answered, please send them through. If you could hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Thanks, and talk to you later.